amidst all of this. Intellectual gladiator. That's what I say. Anyway, with that, I think we have a few more minutes. I think we can jump into our last story. Hold on to your butts. This one is a doozy. There have been instances of companies that sell sort of accessories and paraphernalia for shooters dabbling in politics. Well, this is about as unfortunate an example of that as I can remember. Torres Targets, based in Santa Monica, California, sells its products online as well, has a section on its website called Politically Incorrect Targets, from which it sells targets of several Democratic politicians that it says are proudly made and designed in the USA. Now, supposedly they make a Trump one too, but I wasn't able to find it. And the vast majority are the sorts of people that you think conservative gun owners would probably prefer to target. Like this one, you can see AOC with a hammer and sickle beret on her head. The advertisement says, fine tune your skills with this alternate reality target of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a communist revolutionary. Look out, capitalists. AOC is on the hunt and ready to liberate your property from you. They also have, I believe, a pirate version of Ilhan Omar. So isn't that fun? You can purchase this, and then you can act out your fantasies of shooting Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. That's fun. Dr. Fauci, also, if you'd like to act out murdering a guy who's trying to stop you from dying of an illness, you can do that. And why not kids too? So Greta Thunberg, they have a target of her. And they acknowledge that she's young on their site, saying at Torres Targets, we waited until Greta Thunberg was 18 to exploit her. Unlike her parents, celebrities, and politicians, Greta Thunberg's shooting targets are now available in all of their wealthy eco-doomer glory. So they apparently restrained themselves. They wanted to make one when she was less than 18, but they were willing to wait. And it must have been tough on all these gun owners desperately wanting to shoot Greta Thunberg, and we gotta wait a little bit. So what do you think about this, David? They are saying, by the way, maybe as a way to cover themselves, that these aren't those people. These are alternate reality versions of them. So I don't know, is it less awful?
I am just like shocked and horrified, and I would like to sort of meet who are the people who actually buy these targets, because I want to figure out some way to make sure that I stay 1,000 miles away from these nutcases, and that maybe we create some sort of registry or list of people who would actually fire a weapon at a depiction of a real person. I mean, think about it this way: suppose we created video games where Ben Shapiro and Mitch McConnell and all those, and we can decapitate them in our video games. Would Republicans like that? Would conservatives be very happy about that? No, they would move immediately to stamp all sorts of warning levels and to defund these video games. It's the same thing. Have some shame, have some class, have some basic humanity. These are fellow human beings we're talking about. Don't teach people that it's okay to open fire at somebody who's a real human being. That's not okay.
Yeah, it's not. And saying that they're alternate reality versions doesn't make it less awful. The right wingers who are buying these aren't like, well, Greta Thunberg, I disagree with her politically, but she has every right to express herself. Alternate reality version? That's not how it works. They want to shoot Greta Thunberg and you're helping them act out their fantasy. So that's not a defense. And it's not a defense to have one of Trump that none of your customers are actually gonna buy. And I read the copy for it, by the way. It's basically mocking all of the criticism of Donald Trump. So look, are they allowed to do this? I don't know, probably. I would, as David pointed out, I would be a little bit uncomfortable knowing the sort of people who would actually purchase these, but we just cover this to let you know that there is a lot of simmering anger out there, desperation to act out on violence. Hopefully none of these people actually do. But are you gonna be shocked to find out if there's ever an assassination attempt against one of the people that we've shown you here, that when they search their house, there's a probably good chance that they're gonna find one of these Torres targets? So they can do what they want, but we can judge them for what they choose to do.
Yeah, and if they want to do what they want, this company that's producing these targets, okay, what if I took a facsimile of this company, of this business, found their address, got a nice picture of this business, and then, I don't know, suppose I had target practice where I blew them up or set Molotov cocktails and set them on fire. Or what if I stood on the sidewalk in front of their business and took pictures of their business and set it on fire? How would they feel? I imagine they would feel threatened. That's the kind of society, the coarsening of our society that these knuckleheads are creating. It's, just sell your targets with the normal bullseye. I'm sure there are plenty of gun owners out there that'll provide you with a profitable business. Don't go to this extreme. There's no integrity in all this.
Definitely, it's a great point. They wouldn't like it, and if you did it, I wouldn't like it either. Anyway, David, you know what I do like? You being on the show. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed you coming back. Where can people see more of your work?
Rebel HQ on Facebook and YouTube. Rebel HQ is where all the videos get posted. They can go there, and occasionally some of these TYT shows. But it's an honor to be part of the team, John, and always an honor to be on your show.
Thank you very much. The honor is shared. Well, with that, everybody, we are unfortunately out of time, but I want to thank you for joining us. The day is only beginning. We do have Indisputable coming up in just a few minutes. YouTube.com/indisputable_TYT. Dr. Rashad Ritchie is going to be there. Adrian Lawrence is going to be there. That is an amazing combo. You're not going to want to miss it. And I'll be back at some point too. Probably tomorrow, actually. We do this every day. But until then, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.
You know what time it is. It's indisputable. I'm glad that you're with me today, and I'm with you. We got a hell of a show today. Let me give a big thank you to everyone. We have over 144,000 subscribers on the YouTube page. Make sure you check out Indisputable TYT. If you are watching me from anywhere other than that YouTube page, I need you to go ahead, jump on Indisputable TYT. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and let's all have a party together. You can just binge on so many segments. What in the redneck hell? I wish a Karen would, and the bullpen. Have loads of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will have Adrienne Lawrence, attorney at law, author, and TYT contributor, who will help me break down news of the day. My debate guest for the bullpen is congressional candidate from New Jersey's 9th District, Billy Prempeh, will join me in the bullpen. It should be an interesting conversation. My top news: Proud Boys leader pleads guilty to burning the church's Black Lives Matter banner. You remember this. Everybody remembers when this went down. So the leader, his name is Henry Enrique Tarrio, AKA the prolific snitch. I didn't say that. That's what the attorney said about him in the unsealed court documents. They called him a prolific snitch. Well, this prolific snitch has now pleaded guilty to burning the Black Lives Matter banner. That picture went viral. Each offense carries a maximum of 180 days in prison and a $1,000 fine. The sentence hearing is scheduled on August 23rd. We're gonna keep an eye on that. But here's what I'm questioning, because obviously this guy is involved in a criminal enterprise. The Proud Boys, in my opinion, they are a criminal network. But he did light something on fire on somebody else's property, ripped it off of the building. Why not arson? Why not felony arson? Why not felony trespass? Felony destruction of property? Let me remind you of this photo and how they are glorifying the action of burning something that has the word black on it. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it looked like. Remember that? Remember that photo? Remember that scene? They are celebrating, think about it, they are celebrating the burning of something that says, my life matters. Your life matters. Because see, if Black Lives Matter, everybody's life matters. They're burning it because it says black. Do you understand? They don't care that it says lives matter. They're burning it because it says black. There's no argument about the KKK being antithetical to black people. Nobody would debate that. There's no ambiguity in that sentiment. They used to burn something too to show their disdain for blackness. Well, I'll be damned. Those pictures are extremely similar. See, it's the same sentiment. It's the same motivation, the same agenda to stop the progress of people of color, because their privilege has been threatened. They are fragile, and this is their fragility in operation. The national leader of the Proud Boys, a far-right extremist group, pleaded guilty Monday to 2 charges, including one involving the burning of a Black Lives Matter banner stolen from a Washington, D.C. church. They didn't even get charged with theft, by the way. On December 12th, 2020, a group of Proud Boys, including Tarrio, stole a banner that read #Black Lives Matter from the property of the Asbury United Methodist Church. This is a very historical church. The banner also had the logo and website address of the church, the city's oldest Black Methodist church. Henry Enrique Tarrio, 37 years of age, of Miami, Florida, pleaded guilty in the Superior Court of the District of Columbia to 1 count of destruction of property and a local weapons charge, according to a Department of Justice press release. Now, here's what it carries, okay? If he gets absolutely nothing else, here's what it carries. Each offense carries a maximum sentence of 180 days in prison and or $1,000 fine. Tarrio's sentencing hearing is scheduled for August 23rd, and the court has ordered him to stay away from Washington, D.C. before his hearing. This cat is dangerous, and he runs with dangerous people. You see, these individuals are thugs, but the narrative would like you to believe that children that steal candy from a store during an unfortunate situation, those are the thugs. No, those aren't thugs. These are the thugs, these people. To talk about this and a lot more, we have Adrian Lawrence, attorney at law, TYT contributor. Adrian, what's your take?
Well, I'm glad that he was charged with something to begin with, because Lord knows 5-10 years ago, there would have been no charges whatsoever. But also I think the January 6th insurrection has played a role in ensuring that individuals are charged. But the reality is that it is a flag. It does have significance in terms of the racial aspect of Black Lives Matter. So you would think that it's going to be a misdemeanor charge, which is exactly what he faced here, going up to 180 days in jail and or $1,000 fine. But if there was a possibility of adding a hate crime element to that to trump up the charge, you would have thought that would have happened here. The only kind of redeeming thing I would like to give the prosecutors in this instance is hoping that this man, Tario, as he's been known to flip, will continue to do so, because we do know that the FBI is investigating and that there is potential charges of conspiracy that are much larger and bigger against members of the Proud Boys. And so in the event that they need a witness, Tario very may well be that individual. So we don't quite know yet what the full breadth of the charges could be in the larger framework of the Proud Boys, but it would have been nice if this is just an isolated charge here, if there could have been, more egregious, more significant charges, but that's not what we got.
All right, so I definitely get your points. Let me bring up a few as well. There was a story I covered just a few days ago, where a back of the blue sign in a small community was crumpled and thrown in the trash can. Well, a police officer, a deputy sheriff, saw this action, arrested the 19-year-old college student who did it. After the arrest for intimidating a police officer, which is crazy as hell. After that arrest, the prosecutor enhanced it for the hate crime violation, because in that state last year, they passed a hate crimes bill protecting police officers. So you have that, right? This person has the book thrown at them. What has happened to prosecutors saying things like, we're going to prosecute violators to the fullest extent of the law? I haven't heard that narrative. I don't feel that same energy as it relates to these individuals committing acts of domestic terrorism.
Of course not. The energy is not there, because we have to ask ourselves what's promoting white supremacy. And in the event of Tario, it is not, well, it is promoting white supremacy for him to tear down the Black Lives Matter flag. But of that woman in Utah, no, it's kind of the antithesis to that. And as a result, she is going to face those harsh, aggravated, trumped up, unnecessary penalties. And this is just really, it's a reflection of our system. Who are we looking to protect? Who are we looking to uplift? What are the narratives that we want to be reinforced? Who do we want to intimidate? And what voices do we want to silence? And this shows us, this disparity here, exactly how it works and goes down.
And we talked about this before, there's this psychological connection to the law and also how it's applied, right? If you have a law that says, okay, if you commit an act of domestic terrorism, that's wrong, that's a violation, and you will have a stiff penalty. But if you allow people to do it, basically get away with it with days, some won't even receive any jail time. What message does that send to the other would-be domestic terrorists in the United States of America?
That we're all not created equal, and also all laws aren't enforced equally. The fact is that we have a nation that was built on reinforcing disparities, racism, sexism, all of the isms whatsoever, and it is still operating as such. And the laws and situations like this just prove that point even more.
Sometimes I look at these stories, Adrian, and I really do wonder, is there really a single white person alive who believes that disparities in the races do not exist? Now, obviously, we know they push that narrative. They will say things like this. They will say, oh, no, it's all about your individual work It is all about what you put in, and there's no systemic bias or systemic racism. But obviously, the facts are staggering. Do you think that there are some people who really believe the hype, or are they just promoting the hype?
Oh, I think in part that they're promoting the hype. Either that or they're lying to themselves, because Lord knows they are lying to us.
That's a big lie.
Because you cannot ignore the facts. You can't ignore the stats. You can't ignore what you see. But there are so many people out there who want to believe that Black people or brown people are more criminal. And that's the reason why that they're involved with the police so often. And it's like, give me a break. Just because, again, you like to lie to yourself doesn't mean you can lie to me. I know what the system is. I know how it operates. And I know how you bolster it with a lie.
Very well said. I'm going to shift gears because something happened that we should have been paying attention to when it happened, but we're definitely paying attention to it now. A lawsuit has been filed. But there was a 16-year-old kid, a 16-year-old Black kid with asthma. The cop knew he had asthma. Let me just go straight to this video first. What you see is a police officer with his knee on the neck of a 16-year-old Black kid. Now, this 16-year-old Black kid has already told him, I have asthma. The cop responded and said, I don't give up what you have, and proceeded to do this thing to this kid. Let me give you some background. This was almost 6 weeks after the George Floyd murder. A Baton Rouge police officer used the same tactic on an asthmatic 16-year-old kid. The mother has now filed a lawsuit against the city and the police department. So on July 6, 2020, Dylan Cannon was pinned to the ground as Officer Alvaro Alvarez's knee was pressing on Cannon's neck for close to 30 seconds. Cannon was a passenger in the vehicle that failed to stop when an officer attempted to pull over the car for a seat belt violation. About 50 minutes into the pursuit, and after the driver ignored multiple traffic lights and stop signs, the vehicle came to a stop. The legal claim says the driver and passenger both exited next to the car, held their hands above their heads. The driver was arrested without incident by one set of 3 officers. Now, this is the suit, so let me take you to what the suit says. According to the suit, filed by Tanisha Cannon, the teen's mother, even though Cannon was kneeling and complied with commands from another set of 3 officers, he was held at gunpoint and forcefully handcuffed. Let's show a picture of that, okay? He's in complete compliance. He's in compliance. He wasn't driving the car. He's a passenger in this vehicle. He complies. He may have even been the person to tell the driver, man, you need to stop this. So he complies. The suit identifies the officers who drew their weapons on Cannon as Lorenzo Coleman, Travis Williams, and Douglas Schultz. Despite the fact that Cannon, who was prone on the ground, did not resist at any time, according to the suit, Officer Alvaro Alvarez placed his left knee on the back of DC's neck, and he grabbed and pulled DC's left wrist behind his back. Also, according to the suit, Cannon told officers, hey, I suffer from asthma. And the officer responded, I don't give a damn. There's additional video and footage according to the suit. Let's show another picture. Let's show that picture of the knee in this young man's neck. Okay, you see that, right? He was in compliance with every single command from the police. While the department keeps promising accountability, the history of the Baton Rouge police says otherwise. Earlier this year, the department started an investigation into the brutal arrest of a 13-year-old boy in which an officer employed the use of a chokehold. That same month, the Baton Rouge City Council approved a $4.5 million settlement with the family of Alton Sterling, a black man shot and killed by police while he was selling CDs at a convenience store. Do they think they are big and tough because they can manhandle children? What's wrong with these people? This to me is sociopathic behavior, psychopathic behavior. To have a child in complete compliance to your orders. I don't care what the prerequisite issue was. You're a cop. You're supposed to respond when there's something like this happening, but you're also supposed to be professional. Adrian, I see so much wrong with how this went down. I'm glad the family is filing an actual suit. That's why we have so much information now, because they were trying to keep this hush hush. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, I think it's exactly kind of the behavior that we protest about, the reason we raise our voices, the reason we're demanding change. The reality is that these law enforcement officers feel that they can operate with absolute impunity. He did not give a damn if that boy had any kind of breathing issues whatsoever, because he does not fear repercussions in any way, because our system has insulated law enforcement with qualified immunity, as well as just hurdles across the board. And so we have to know that there is still a lot more fight and a lot more fury that needs to be brought to the table, because what George Floyd, the movement has brought was just an awakening. But my God, it is not the change that we need across the board, because clearly law enforcement does not care. The system has protected them for so long that it's not going to change unless there is significant change.
And that's why you need something like the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act, because that could create the catalyst to eliminate the whole notion of qualified immunity. I guarantee you that if you eliminate qualified immunity, a police officer, a cop who says, I can put my knee on the neck of this asthmatic child, or I cannot. It's not going to change the fact that he's in compliance, right? I guarantee you, if that cop had to think about his personal assets, if he had to think about his personal liability, if he had to think about that home he owns, if he had to think about the family that's connected to him because of his actions, he would make a better decision about how he treated people. Now, will it root out everybody? Of course not. It won't root out everybody, but the ones that it does not root out, they get sued and they get held professionally and personally liable, accountable for their activities. And it's just beyond me that individuals who are in charge of enforcing the laws are the ones crying that they don't want the laws enforced on them. This doesn't make sense whatsoever. You're not righteous to what you took a constitutional oath or an oath of office to uphold. You're not righteous to it. So why take this oath? And if you lie about a damn oath where you swear to uphold certain values and virtues, you'll lie about anything. And that's why they have to crack down, Adrian, also on false police reports. False police reports are criminal. Some people have been charged with filing false police reports, but every cop will tell you that every cop they know has fudged a police report.
Absolutely. If there are no consequences at all for those actions, then there's gonna be no deterrent. Like it's not possible to have the two, because these individuals, we can't expect them to operate on integrity alone. That's what's gotten us here. And so we do need to have significant repercussions. We also need officers to have something on the line. Just being there and having your body on the line, yes, it's an honorable thing, but at the same time, we have to realize that the vast majority of calls do not involve violence that they face, and they are not a matter of situations where they need to ignore a boy's pleads to tell him that he can't breathe. That's not okay.
Yeah, well said. And just remember, everyone, infractions without enforcement is meaningless. Meaningless, it means nothing. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
You know what the progressive movement needs? It needs a little energy, a little pizzazz, maybe a little caffeine. Oh, coffee. But what if it was too strong coffee? Yes, new twostrongcoffee.com/TYT. Look, this helps progressive causes. It's also organic and fair trade, so you've got peace of mind that it was done right, and it happens to taste great. So check it out right now at twostrongcoffee.com/TYT.
That 300 million is a pretty good number, Well, that's the size of the US population. You know what our next target is? The size of the entire world.
We just crossed 5 billion views on YouTube.
I mean, imagine 10 years ago thinking one day. We looked at you like, are you nuts?
Young Turks has just passed another milestone. 15 billion views. Damn. All right, lots of comments. You guys are the best.
I'm gonna read a few comments from our members.
Mr. Methuselah says on YouTube, super chat, thanks for all the important work you do for TYT for the movement.
Do you know who had the first super chat when I got back from vacation? You won't be surprised to find out. Rob Shively. What do you know? Rob says, rejoice, for Dragon Daddy has returned.
This question sent to us by Izzy Sanchez Jr. Is it me, or is Meghan McCain talking as fast as Ben Shapiro? Is that the way the right tries to look smart and intellectual? Well, yes.
Michael Nathan writes it on Twitter. Did Anna choose Cenk's outfit today? I'm sure it wasn't Cenk himself. Man Bun Jenkins Skinny Jeans says, so now Anna has pointed out, okay, that's his handle.
T. Joyce, 1971, saying Donald Trump is good at pulling out of things, NAFTA, the Iran deal, NATO. It's just too bad Fred Trump didn't.
I want you to take on the spirit of one of my sheroes, Harriet Tubman, who said these words: if you hear the dogs barking, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If they're shouting after you, keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. At this particular moment in time, sisters and brothers, we need somebody that is not going to flinch, somebody that's not going to equivocate when it comes to the workaday people of this nation.
You're speaking a language that voters understand, which is you're worth it. I think the key to everything is Nina Turner.
TYT has an exclusive announcement, Move On, which has chosen to endorse Nina Turner for Ohio's 11th congressional district.
We have to tell them right here in the heart. Right. Why we're running. Yes. And what we're gonna do in those spaces and places to make their lives a better place.
I think Nina can change the entire dynamic of American politics.
Because with these hands, we will rise.
Nina Turner steps into the direct fire sometimes in the name of the people.
And is that we have become numb to some of the very real challenges in this country.
Here comes Nina Turner. Here comes Nina Turner. Hope's back.
If you want clean water, clean air, clean food, keep going. If you want a better country, a better world for yourselves and future generations, you must. And if you know that we are in this fight together, you must.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Indisputable TYT, that works on Twitter, that works on Instagram. And make sure you tag us, hashtag us, Indisputable TYT, so we can get your comment read live on air, all right? And also don't forget, after Indisputable, make sure you stick and stay for the big homie deep dive with Jordan Yu. Make sure you stick and stay right here. All right, we got a lot of comments. TYT member Mickey C, the silver hair dragon, says, a young lady was charged with a hate crime where she crumbled a Blue Lives Matter sign and gave the terrified cop a threatening look. That means that Proud Boy also committed a hate crime in addition to his other crimes. Seems like it if you actually have equal application of the law. Potion seller. They think they're big and tough because they know they can manhandle children without consequence, since their unions will protect them. Not only the unions, the laws, court documentation, precedent protects them as well. YouTube super chat. No noon consequence, I think. All right. Stole from a church. Where's Fox News and the war on Christianity crowd hiding behind their fanfic of white Jesus? I know, but still, okay. That is interesting, right? They don't care that they committed criminal trespass on the church. They don't care because it's a black church. You see what I mean? Okay. Blue Knight says, after the Civil War, most rebels weren't punished either. This is a great point. They tormented black people for over a century. We'll see what happens with the terrorists. Very good point. Ashley Turner says, love you, Dr. Richey. Adrian, you too. We love you back. New World Dragon says, Rashad rocks. You rock as well. Thank you for that new world. David Gordon, I am indisputably super freaking high. Let's rock, Dr. Richey. Hey man, listen, we all have our thing, okay? All right, JT, my wife and I love your show. Keep it up. We need more people like yourself to change the world. And we can't change the world without people like you. Thank you, JT. David Morris, Adrian equals Serenity Dragon. It's unofficial, but this lady's got poise. She really does, doesn't she? Bernie the Kiwi Dragon, not again, talking about the 16-year-old. Yep, again. And thank God for a family who is stepping up and filing the right lawsuit. Mina Carlson says they don't see children. Fly One says blue lies destroy lives. My next story, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You see, Twitter needs to stop playing with this woman, okay? She's going to end up doing something so insane that Twitter, they're going to say, oh, we didn't see this coming. But you did see it coming. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was hit with a 12-hour suspension over COVID misinformation. 12 hours, that's it, 12 hours. So Twitter on Monday evening temporarily suspended Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene after she shared misinformation about COVID-19 vaccines, the company told CNN. Now, let me do this. Let me take you to the tweet, okay? This is the tweet. The controversial COVID-19 vaccines should not be forced on our military. And by the way, for the record, it's not. For a virus that is not dangerous for non-obese people and those under 65. Let me say that again. And I'm so embarrassed that she's from my home state, just utterly embarrassed. She says it is not dangerous for the non-obese and those who are under 65. She put this in writing. She's a freaking United States Congresswoman. She holds a position of public trust. Even if you don't trust her publicly, she holds a position of public trust. That should matter. That should matter. Her suspension should not be congruent with the suspension of somebody who has no public trust. She should be held to a higher standard of accountability because of her position and authority. With 6,000 vax-related deaths and many concerning side effects reported, the vax should be a choice, not a mandate for everyone. Once again, still not a mandate for everyone. It is a choice. It's a healthcare decision. People encourage you, and the evidence is compelling that it's much better to get it than not get it. The people that are being hospitalized now from the Delta variant, 99% of them who are being hospitalized now, guess what they don't have? They don't have a COVID-19 vaccine shot, okay? We just got that information today from the Board of Health. So, let me give you some facts. Over 100,000 Americans under the age of 65 have been killed by COVID since the pandemic began. Now, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have not. I guess she would just call this fake news. But this is a fact. Over 100,000 under the age of 65 dead. While this silly person, who's a member of the United States Congress, continues to try and kill more people. And as the Delta variant spreads rapidly through the nation, it is largely doing so in the young and the unvaccinated. Hospitalizations are rising among those between the ages of 20 to 40. And in June, 99% of coronavirus deaths were of people who did not receive the vaccine, okay? Now, she's not interested in actually creating good policy. She's not interested in having thoughtful solutions or remedies. She's interested in being praised by Fox News. And by the way, everybody who works at Fox News, they were mandated to be vaccinated. Okay, let's throw up another picture. The guy that looks like a broke ass macho man, Randy Savage, not that one, that one. Why am I bringing up that picture? Because I feel like it. That's why. Let me tell you what this picture represents. According to the narrative from individuals very close to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she cheated on her husband with that guy in the middle, okay? Once again, looking like a broke ass Randy Savage. Now, I don't have a problem with his pose. I definitely have a problem with his outfit, but I more so have a problem with the way he shaped up his chest hair. Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever decision you want to make in your personal life, that's on you. But I must question everything about your judgment if you would date a guy who has shaped up chest hair. That's all. Adrian?
Well, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is, she's a big problem without question. And the fact that Twitter finally decided to suspend her, it's taken them a little bit too long, but also we saw how long it took them with Donald Trump, despite the fact that he was causing a lot of hate crimes and also just detrimental things in society in terms of inciting people. And Marjorie Taylor Greene does the same thing with her misinformation, her anti-Semitism, and just her pure ignorance. And the fact that they won't take the mic away until something like this happens tells us that our social media outlets are not here for us. They're here to get as many users as they can so they can profit. And their profiting has become our problem. Also, yeah, the chest hair thing is an issue, but I just think anybody who's willing to go near Marjorie Taylor Greene, I just don't trust their judgment at all.
Yeah, okay. Twitter does the 12-hour suspension. I do agree. It's taking them way too long to do something. And then when they do something, it's not even for a full 24 hours. Now, they've suspended her for a few hours before. Once again, 12-hour suspension. I think it sends the wrong message. And you're right, this is about capitalism. This is about enterprising, because they know that Marjorie Taylor Greene, due to how she utilizes Twitter, she brings people to the platform. She gets people to engage with the platform. So this is, in many ways, a monetary corporate decision to allow individuals like this to continue to even have a platform after saying some of the most extreme things. And then they do these, they would tag her post, basically letting people know what she posts is inaccurate, it's a lie. And they've been doing this with her account for so long. I think it's time for us to stop living in a fantasy world of somehow social media is limiting free speech. No, social media is a private damn enterprise. You don't have the right to be on social media, okay? They can allow you to be there or not allow you. Donald Trump, as you know, Adrian, has filed a lawsuit against these big tech companies, claiming in this class action lawsuit that social media, by restricting the voices of certain individuals due to their insanity, is in violation of your constitutional right of free speech. What are your thoughts about that?
Now, his lawsuit it's a joke in its entirety, because these social media outlets do not have an obligation to provide individuals with platforms, especially if they are in violation of the rules. But the interesting thing that I would love to see is that we do know social media providers curb marginalized voices more than it does other voices, voices of privilege, white voices, male voices. And so I'm more likely to be silenced, to be blocked, to be suspended, to be removed from the platform, as we've seen with TikTok recently, not allowing you to put hashtag Black, whatever, in your bio. Same kind of thing in terms of the rate of suspension and quieting and silencing. And so it would be really interesting if Donald Trump's lawsuit ends up being flipped on its head. So we actually see that these social media outlets are attacking marginalized groups as opposed to individuals like him who are white, male, privileged, and won't shut their mouth.
Yeah, and you know, the elephant in the room as it relates to that lawsuit, because it is class action, which means he's suing on behalf of Republican or conservative voices. Well, Candace Owens still has her account. Shapiro still got his account. You have countless individuals who are considered conservative voices who still have their Twitter, Facebook, etc., 100% intact. Let me shift gears. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Ship Cruise Karen. Let me just take you to the video.
Look, they sanitize everything. As if we're really contagious. As if I really have COVID. I had COVID 3 months ago. I have high positive antibodies. Oh wait, you're not putting me in no ambulance. You're not putting me in a car until Keith comes down here. Valor, no. I said don't take me out yet until Keith signs the paper. Don't roll me back anymore. Then don't take me down here. I'll jump right off this wheelchair, and if I get hurt, you're gonna be doubly responsible. Put the brakes on right now, because we ain't freaking moving. I'm gonna be in charge of my own fucking life. I'm tired of Royal Caribbean telling me what I gotta do when you're fucking lying to us. They're fucking lying!
My grandmother would say, woo, child. Okay, here's the story. She tested positive for COVID-19. She tells the crew who's being responsible, getting her off of that ship, not allowing her to board. She's telling them she's not going to let Caribbeans tell her what to do. And you see the meltdown. And then she basically tries to say, I will do something to get you in trouble. She says, if I jump out of this wheelchair and hurt myself, I'm paraphrasing. She says, you will be doubly responsible. What? So if you do this to yourself, these folks here who are trying to protect the lives of others, they're going to be responsible for that. Ma'am, you're not responsible at all. You don't care about responsibility. And your answer to why you tested positive for COVID is BS. Adrian, you saw the breakdown. I mean, she definitely lost her ish. What are your thoughts?
I think that there's something that we're not necessarily addressing in society in terms of why we continue to see so many videos of white people who are losing their ish when it comes to having their bodies regulated as associated with COVID. It's because generally the thought of that invisible threat that a body presents in our society has been attributed to Black and brown people. So now white people are having to kind of adjust to the situation, the fact that they may too have their body pose an invisible threat. And they don't like that because it's regulating their body. This thought of you can't do something, you can't go somewhere, that you are posing that invisible threat that's always been ascribed to Black and brown people. And so seeing that adjustment play out with these hysterics in public places, it's going to continue to happen until we have more sincere conversations on white privilege and also get people to understand that the threat is equal across the board. And unfortunately, we are all equal individuals and we can regulate one another, which was the circumstance here where you had an individual trying to essentially regulate her body that was posing indeed a threat.
Yeah, and it's not even psychologically complex, right? A child exhibits the same action. If a child is used to doing whatever the child wants to do, getting away with whatever the child wants to get away with. As soon as you try to implement a rule, what does the child do? The child rejects it because that is not normative for that child. And that's what's happening with these Karens. These Karens have operated in a system and society that has typically bent over backwards for their proclamations. And now that somebody is actually trying to enforce rules on them that would be enforced on everybody else, they are now crying like 5-year-olds. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Well, the Young Turks, the Friday show is gonna be awesome. We're gonna help us over here. Drop it.
We became the first ever daily online web television show.
No, the Constitution is the very core of America. The fact that we don't spy on American citizens, that we get a warrant, that we go to a judge, that we have a procedure, that we have due process, that is America.
On top of that, they go, why don't they just stay at their own schools? You gotta realize something. These schools suck. They want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You ain't got no straps, you ain't got no boots.
He lit these fires in trash bins all around town out of frustration.
99th most viewed channel today on YouTube.
The Shorties Award.
Best web host.
We passed 1 billion views. Voice Award winner, News and Information Channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby.
The Young Turks.
Can I curse?
Yeah! For those of you watching on live stream, yes, we have adopted a pet iguana that showed up at our door.
Haunted version in the dark with our silhouettes.
Now let's get to the best line of the debate. It was definitely the one against Fox. I told you we were coming.
When you talk about it when it becomes a problem. Our lack of gun control is a problem.
Nonsense BS story is hurting that cause, and they need to wake up and recognize that they are being had by these people.
Biggest gang in America. Question is, how do we make sure that we blame the person who is dead? What kind of democracy is that?
We should never forget that the most powerful people in the world exploited the greatest tragedy in American history to go to war in a country that had a lot of oil.
Rolling thunder. That's what this show is.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator. But if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
TikTok, TikTok.
Where's the line? We've crossed every line you can imagine.
We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich.
TikTok, TikTok.
You don't have to know the truth, just believe what they tell you.
There is no bounds to their monstrous hypocrisy. TikTok. I think we're gonna win the Senate in 2020. And I think we're gonna have the House, and I think we're gonna have the presidency. TikTok.
And in 2020, we're going to clean your clock, and we're gonna run you out of town, and we're gonna have an actual democracy in this country.
November of 2020 could also be potentially the greatest day of our lives. Let us whisper of a dream.
Back to back that I like.
Say hi to the camera.
I don't like this.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Let's go to some of these viewer comments. Got a lot of them. I will read as many as I can. TYT member Danielle LGBTQIA says, hi, Dr. Richie. It is so good to see you. I love watching Indisputable every day. Love you, Doc. And Danielle, I love you back. Thank you so much for that. Dragon, who says, Nye. It's Zangief from Street Fighter. I remember that character. That was actually a time I played video games. It's a costume, okay. Mission accomplished, he looks like a cartoon character to me. Potion seller, I'm utterly embarrassed that she's from our home planet. She's barely human. That was funny. Eric the Red about Karen. In World War II, they developed a catapult on ships. Is this real? That could launch a small aircraft to fight off U-boats. Maybe these cruise ships should get one to get rid of annoying Karens. What I'm saying, cruise ships are a terrible idea already. All right, YouTube super chat. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon. I'm not sure defunding or reforming is enough with some of these police forces. Some countries have disbanded their old police forces and started over, fresh. Some US police probably need that. Thank you so much for the correction on the name. Thank you. Sir Smoke It Right says, last time you couldn't read my name, but I read it the right way this time because you provided some guidance. Thank you for that. Facebook banned me for 30 days for telling a Trumplican he was stupid, yet this guy calls people much worse things that I can't share on here. Exactly, point made. 00 says, good Lord, I love the Nina Turner keep going ad. Hello somebody, let's get Nina to Congress. Much love, Dr. Richie, never miss with Indisputable. Thank you for that. Jeanette Villalona. Seeing your show is always refreshing. I love watching. Well, thank you. Forbesilla says, I understand your embarrassment, Doc. Sarah Palin is from my state. It hurts me every single day when right-wingers talk about how great she is. They still say she's great? Okay. Sweet JP, I wouldn't trust her to put the correct number of nuggets in a 4-piece. Damn. And Terry Barrio says, I know this is off topic, but Dr. Rich's tie is on point. Thank you for that. Irie Man says, don't make me jump off this wheelchair. We don't want to make you do that, all right? Okay, meet the guy who has now become the standard for every white friend I have. If you are not this kind of friend to me as my white friend, I don't know if we can keep being friends. There was a group of cops harassing individuals, and this individual stood up and displayed how to use privilege correctly. Here it is.
Get in the car. Get in the car. Get in the car.
Yes,
get in the car. Get in the car.
I'm not gonna move until you move.
Get in the car.
I need you to move away from the car.
Get in the car. I need you to get in the car. Yeah, that's
this is public space.
Get in the car, tough guy. Ha 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 ha. Get the car, tough guy. Get the car, tough guy. That's what I saw you, coward. You coward. Get in the car too now, you coward. Get the out of here. Yeah, you saw you all. You gotta get back in the car now,
Step back.
You step back.
Thank you.
You step back.
I want you to
You step back.
Move.
Well, you move. You move.
I'm not moving.
You move.
I'm telling you to move.
I'm not moving. Public space, bro. What's up?
Okay, don't spin my
Don't spin my face. Don't spin my face. Don't spin my face. You don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't. Right? You don't care about public safety, bro. Get the out of here. Right. Get the out.
I'm not getting paid.
Get out. Get the out. Get the car. Get the out.
Okay.
Get the out. Stop shooting people. Get the out of here.
Okay.
Get the out, you losers. LAPD shot and killed some. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get the out.
Damn. Let me remind you, according to the report, these officers, they were just harassing individuals in that locality. We're talking about the LAPD. And this one white male decided he was tired of it. He got up and started telling them to get the hell up out of there and stop harassing everybody else. This was on a public boardwalk. The man is being praised for using his white privilege for good. But let's be very clear. This would not have happened the same way if a black male would have got up in those officers' faces and said the exact same thing. This would not have happened the same way if a brown male did something like that. Hell, I don't think it would have happened this way if a woman said what this guy said to these cops, okay? Let me read some of these comments from Twitter that came out because of this incident. Emasculation Proclamation says, I have zero time for whites who have anything less than this energy. Michael E. Hobson says, I really need my white comrades to address the police like this all of the time. Trust me, you will be fine. But all jokes aside, really you laugh not to cry. It shows the very clear, unequal reaction. We're not even talking about treatment. Let's just talk about regular reaction. The unequal reaction when you are another person dealing with the police. Adrian, what are your thoughts?
I think you're spot on that this is a display of white privilege. And I do definitely commend that man for using his voice, because he stepped in knowing that he was the right melanin count and probably just also the right gender, that he could put that harassment, he could stop that low-key brutality starter kit right there in its tracks. And he used his voice to accomplish just that. And as we saw with the officers backing down where they knew that they were in the wrong, that is something only a white man could have done. And for him to do that, it's powerful. And I really hope that that resonates with the people out there, because a lot of people are just too afraid to even to talk to their family members about racism and to stand up. And this man is out here in the street standing up to cops. It's just this full communication of clearly people can do better. So why don't you do better too?
And you know this, Adrian, working in your profession, if the police officers were in the right, they would have enforced their authority to do exactly what they were already doing. But they knew they were in the wrong. But that's not all it takes. They can know they're in the wrong, but if you're not a person they respect in the community, they're not going to listen to your proclamation that you're in the wrong. They're not going to listen to anything you say. But they listen to him. I had a guy break down something to me one time, and very wise guy. And he said, the reason why privilege works for cops is because cops assume that whiteness is connected to status and authority. They make that assumption. And they assume that black is not. That is their baseline assumption as soon as they interact with a person of color or a person who is white. Do you agree with that assessment on its face value?
Yeah, it's not just cops. This is how our world works. Everybody has that implicit or explicit assumption that's operating in their mind. It's the same thing when it comes to gender, also class status. If that man was dressed truly slovenly and he appeared to be unhoused, I don't think they would have respected him. The fact is that we do have these biases that mount up in our head, and it dictates how we interact with others in this world. I have had situations where cops have approached me, and generally when they approach me, I don't have a problem. Why? Because they hear the way in which I speak and I hold myself. So they can tell this woman here is not just some everyday black woman, that this person probably comes with some kind of backing in some way. And the thing is they should be treating everyone fairly and equally and with respect. But unfortunately, that is not how our society operates at all. And it doesn't just end with the police.
Back in the 1980s, a sociologist came up with a theory called the social impact theory. And in that social impact theory breakdown, it says that part of how you are able to influence people is your status. But really, when you go deeper, what the sociologist meant was perceived status. So if a rich person tells you how to make $1 million, your ears listen. If a homeless person gives you the exact same advice, your ears do not listen. Because you're looking at social status as a prerequisite to the influence and the information. And you're right that everybody should be treated equally. And what we see in our humanity, now in humanity, there will always be this, discrimination, prejudice. That's going to be there. We have to work hard as a human race to eradicate that from amongst our ranks. But we can literally hold people accountable who we're paying. We can do that. We're talking about systems and institutions. We're talking about statutes and laws. We're talking about policies and procedures. We can hold people accountable in that way quickly. We don't have to wait for it to permeate over years. We can start doing that kind of work today. And I think that's where a lot of conservatives, they try to dissuade you from the argument by saying, well, the law isn't gonna eliminate racism. Well, that's not what the law is supposed to do. It's supposed to hold racist people accountable. That's what it's supposed to do. Hopefully expose them to where they're not in that position of authority anymore. So there are policies that can be implemented. I wonder, what do you think is going to happen, Adrian? Because you know the culture of policing. They're probably, when they went back to their precinct, they probably got clowned as soon as this went viral.
Yeah, more than likely, because essentially a lot of these interactions between police and members of the public, they are showings of power and displays of power as opposed to actually substantively doing your job and enforcing the law. And so if you cannot continue to maintain that unstate sanctioned, I should say, dominance, then you are laughable in the eyes of a lot of law enforcement.
All right, switching gears to a really disturbing story. I think these two people are sociopaths. That's just my personal opinion. Two Maine cops were fired and sentenced to jail for using their batons to beat porcupines to death while on duty. Now I know some of you are hearing me saying, the hell you say? Yeah, that's what they decided to do for fun, to kill animals while on duty. Let's bring up a picture of these Twiddle-dee, Twiddle-dum here. Addison Cox and Michael Rollerson pled guilty for animal cruelty in connection to videos of them using batons to kill porcupines while on duty for the Rockland police. The savage beatings were filmed on a cell phone by a third officer who posted the killings to Snapchat. So you mean to tell me while on duty to protect and serve, 3 police officers are engaging in textbook sociopathic behavior and filming it, textbook narcissistic behavior, and then posting it for the public to see this crime, textbook white privilege behavior. Roland was hired as a patrol officer in Rockland in October 2017. He grew up in a family of law enforcement officers. His father is also a police officer. In one case, Rollerson acknowledged pepper spraying one of the porcupines before beating it. A judge handed down a stiffer sentence to Rollerson because he was a senior officer and killed more porcupines. Well, damn, black folks don't even get that kind of treatment. The judge gave a stiffer sentence because the cop should be held to a higher level of accountability because he was a senior officer. I mean, damn, that sounds like some things we've been saying right here on Indisputable, held to a higher standard. Oh, I get it. It's a damn porcupine, it's not a black person. Okay, so the judge could figure out how to make it work. Okay, got it. Roberson was sentenced Thursday to 270 days in jail with all but 20 days suspended. Okay, please understand what that means. Sentenced to 270 days in jail with all but 20 days suspended. He's going to serve 20 days, okay? The judge suspended the sentence. Fined $1,000, required to do community service. Cox was hit with 90 days in jail with all but 10 days suspended, meaning the judge suspended 80 days, 10 to serve. Fined $1,000, $1,000 given 6 months probation. So even with all of this jazz that the judge is talking, right, we're gonna hold you to a higher standard of accountability because you were the senior officer and you killed more porcupines. So I'm going to give you 270 days, but I'm going to suspend 90% of it. Adrian, this is an awesome power that judges have, rarely talked about. I've never seen it done to a black person, but they can give you a sentence and then literally say, I suspend the sentence after they give it to you. Why do they do things like this?
Well, because they want to make it look like they're actually, giving some kind of punishment. And the reality is that they're not. Having to serve 10, 20 days in jail. Also, they're probably going to be protected while they're in there by law enforcement. So they're going to be in their own special little suite. But I think the bigger issue here is I am terrified with the thought that those officers are out there. We've all heard stories about young people beating animals and what that means about their psychosis.
Yes.
So the fact that you have officers out there who are making sport of murdering just these innocent animals is wild. They should not be on the force. They should be locked up in some way. These people are not people that should be roaming around in society without some kind of restraint.
Yeah, horrible individuals, horrible. And you know, the genesis of the psychology is that individuals who do this to animals will victimize those who cannot do anything to them. That's the reason why we consider this to be sociopathic behavior, because you're willing to victimize those that have no voice, an animal that has no voice, but you told on yourself because you have this narcissism coupled with your white privilege and you posted your crime on social media. But do you really think this is the first and only time they've done something like this as a group? And here's the other thing. We know the 2 cops got sentenced, the ones that actually did the killing of this animal or animals. But what about the cop who was recording? How in the hell is he not arrested? How is it that he doesn't get a charge connected to this? See, even when it's clear criminal action, you still have unequal application, not only of the law, but damn, the sentencing. You mean to tell me a man could be sentenced to almost a year in prison and a judge can say, I'm going to suspend the sentence and give you 20 days? I've never heard that happen before. I know cats on probation. They missed a probation visit. They got a year in prison. A year. Life completely upside down because they had to go to work. All right, Adrian, tell people how they can follow you, get your great book that's award-winning, flying off the shelves. How can people connect?
All right, so if you would like my book, that's Staying in the Game, the playbook for beating workplace sexual harassment, you can check it out anywhere books are sold. I know it's on sale at Amazon. I do recommend it. It is not what you think it is, but it is extremely insightful. And then if you want to connect with me, I'm on Twitter at Adrian Law, and I'm on Instagram at Adrian Lawrence.
Always a pleasure having you on Indisputable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, stick and stay. We got the bullpen next.
Cenk Uygur is not here today, which means that I will be able to talk during the show.
We'll see.
Poor Cenk, under the bus.
My God, if Jesus came back, how much would the Republicans hate him? Now you have to give away all of your possessions to the poor. Steve King would be like, oh, Weezy. Everyone should be lucky enough to have a John Iadarola in their life.
You confused everyone?
Okay, sorry, I thought it was pretty clear.
Take a break now.
You can turn me to Dr. Manhattan as long as I get what Dr. Manhattan's packing, okay?
The liberal mom says, Mark Thompson, have you ever thought about doing one of those tapes that soothe people to sleep? Like Mark Thompson reads the phone book. I'd buy it.
If you'll buy it, I'll do it.
Emilio D'Amelio writes in, John, you are so thick. I love you. That's what he wrote.
Pork Chop Express writes in and says John Iadarola needs a new jacket.
Whoa.
Those 24-inch pythons are about to burst out of his sleeve.
Gun, baby. You know, the 2 people here said that their moms were both in love with you over Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm. That's an improvement. I usually get grandmothers.
Charlie Turk.
No, wait a minute, don't you dare.
Chemical castration when we return from the break.
I hope that, who they choose for the White House isn't just a borderline Klansman. That's all we gotta hope.
That's it, we will settle it.
She's cute. I didn't say that about Laura Ingraham.
Scandal at TYT. Did Anna comment on my tan yet? No, she hasn't.
You're a good boss.
But Anna did say that I come in here today with a fresh mind. That's all I'm about. I'm about a fresh mind.
I can't with you right now. Okay?
She just can't. She can't, but nonetheless, we have to for another 3 hours. I'm back, baby. Let's rip into Republicans. See, don't miss the live show.
That's great.
Tell people, if you're a member, you get the whole live show whenever you want, because this stuff doesn't go into any of the clips.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
What's happening? I'm Dr. Rashad Richey, host of Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey. Here's the bottom line. I play no games about policy, period. Too many people's lives are at stake. So here's what I do. I challenge conservative ideology that hinders the growth of this country. I make sure we place our facts in proper context, and I have no problem debating anyone on a position that I have. Progressives have the ideas to change the world, but when you really look at it, progressives have always changed this world for the better. I want you to tune into my new show, Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey, right here on the TYT Network, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. I'll see you there.
Everything that we've accomplished over the years is because of our members who've allowed us to remain independent of corporate interests and reach 20 million followers. Now is the time to bring as many people into the progressive movement as possible. We're inviting you to be the change and help bring a community-powered progressive change machine to life. Details are at tyt.com/change. If you're a member, thank you. We need you to remain so. If you're one of the thousands of viewers out there who's not a member yet, the time has come for you to join now. We need you more than ever. tyt.com/change.
Welcome back. We have a lot of viewer comments. Let me get to as many as I can. Remember, Indisputable TYT on Twitter and Instagram, and also join us on the YouTube channel, Indisputable TYT. TYT member Carlson is a lying mother Tucker says, wow, he's damn lucky he's white, even white. I'm shocked this guy wasn't beaten up. What is he, a judge's son or something? Potion Seller says, so they can get fired in jail for animal abuse, but not human rights abuses, question mark. YouTube super chat, white male versus cop. Alan Smith says, if a white man can use his privilege for good, couldn't a Karen use her Karenicity for good too? Man, that would be a showdown. Like if a Karen saw another Karen and was offended by the actions of this Karen and the Karen squared off. I think Karens are gonna be like Highlander. There can be only one, okay? All right, Sean Plebe, AKA Steel Dragon. I made a mistake and got a DUI in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, one of the richest counties in the country. I never would have been treated the same if black. I never would have been treated the same if black, gotcha. I'm woke or you says certain privileges doesn't have colors in my opinion, it's the power. Crafton Timo says, wow, animals are innocent. They are. Vic Wicked, don't most sociopaths start with animal cruelty? Yes, that's correct. Zudi, Z-Huddle, one of them may be right. Apparently porcupine lives matter more than black lives, good God. Thank you so much for all of those comments. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, I have congressional candidate out of New Jersey, 9th Congressional District, Mr. Billy Prempeh is on the program. Billy, thank you for being here. Welcome to Indisputable.
Dr. Richey, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Let me read a quote you made. We get right into it on this show, okay? Let me read a quote. You said, we will never allow America to be overrun by the evils of communism and socialism. America will forever be free. I don't want to presume what you believe or know about socialism, but let's start there. What are your thoughts about socialism and why do you consider it to be an evil in the United States of America?
Well, it absolutely. I mean, you don't have to look any further than Cuba. We see what's going on right now. They've been under dictatorial rule for well over 62 years. Prior to that, Cuba was doing quite well long before they got involved in communism. It sounds like a good idea at first. It always sounds good on paper when you say that we're going to have all of our collective means put together and controlled by the government. But at the end of the day, it always ends in chaos. The same thing happened in China. See how the CCP went from a capitalist system and they went to a communist system, and they even are now implementing some methods of capitalism to keep their economy up and afloat. But in these kinds of regimes, when the government controls the freedom of speech, the means of production, the economy, as well as the agriculture, it never ends well for the people of those nations. And this has happened historically throughout time. One of the largest killers of humanity is democide. It is the death of people by governments, and this tends to happen a lot in communist regimes, such as in Cambodia, North Korea, Cuba, and in the CCP, Chinese, and China as well too. Okay. So this is something that's happened historically throughout time, and it's not something that I ever want to see happening inside of the United States. I see a lot of people talking about consolidating power towards the government and pushing for some policies that sound good at first, but then they always end up in chaos.
Yeah, let me try to provide some nuance and a little bit of correction for you. So you do understand that the #1 government formation that has led to the death of more people than any other governmental formation is actually capitalism. You do know that statistically.
That has led to more, you said it has led to more formation?
All right, so what we're talking about when we talk about socialism, communism, capitalism, etc., we're talking about the formation of government. We agree on that, correct?
Correct.
The government formation that has led to the death of more individuals on the planet Earth is actually capitalism. As a matter of fact, you don't have to look. You don't have to look no further. Well, you could challenge me. I will ask you to challenge me in just a minute. You don't have to look any further than what capitalism did for slavery, the enslaved in the United States of America. That was birthed out of the need of capitalism to always have a permanent underclass, to have a permanent labor underclass in order to support the competition that's required inside of a capitalistic regime. And it was also co-signed by governmental statute and policy in order to protect that enterprise of free labor. And so in order for capitalism to be all it can be, brother, it must always have a permanent underclass. And that underclass can be treated in ways that are completely adversarial to humanity and to ethical and moral behavior and standards. So we know that. But people are killed under the name of capitalism. Hold on, brother. Say that again.
No, I'm just trying to respond. But
yeah, you're going to respond. You're going to respond. And also the countless wars that have been launched in the name of capitalism as well, as it relates to oil reserves and embargoes and treaties and the like. All of these are elements of capitalistic fallout. But go ahead, make your point.
So the point that I want to make is, for one, I'm pretty sure you also realize that slavery has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and this is not me condoning slavery at all. The United States no longer has slavery. Thank God for that being eradicated in this country. In communist countries, for example, like China, they still have slaves. They still have people locked up in the Uyghur slave camps right now that are working on behalf of the CCP. Okay, now not only that, capitalism has brought more people out of poverty and has brought more people, has given people more of a better lifestyle of life than we've ever seen in human history. The slavery that you're referring to is like, I see how you kind of convoluted the two and tried to make it seem like that the only reason why capitalism is successful is because of slavery. There's many countries, as you know.
No, that's not what I said.
Well,
that's not what I said.
I never said that. I said you're kind of convoluting the two.
But I'm not.
Well, I mean, so there's lots of countries across the country. There's lots of countries across the planet that have never had slavery at all and have been able to prosper.
Yeah, but you're conflating, brother. I'm not conflating those two. Capitalism, even absent of slavery, is still a competitive economic formation of government.
Absolutely.
And my point to you was about the death and degradation that capitalism has contributed. But let me ask you this, just very clearly. You do agree that every formation of government has had its mismanagement and corruption, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Now let's talk about Cuba, because you brought Cuba up. I have a limited time in the show. We'll get to Cuba and then we'll talk about why you think socialism is an evil. You talked about communism. That's a different formation of government than socialism. But we'll talk about Cuba. Cuba is a result of not only the insane policies of America, the schizophrenic nature of our embargo. Brother, just give me a moment. You get a chance to respond. Because of our policies that affected Cuba. President Obama said, we are going to try to equalize these relations because the embargo did not work. We wanted the embargo to have a goal. We wanted to reach a goal as a country. It didn't work. So he said, let's normalize these relations. Let's stabilize these relations. And you had some trade happening again. You had connection again. And then President Trump gets in. He reverses and then doubles down, makes it even more extreme on the embargo side. And now you have a contributing factor along with the mishandling of COVID, along with the mismanagement of resources, and along with the economic and jobs shortage in Cuba. You have to be thoughtful about enterprises like this because government itself is not evil in itself. The government formation is not evil in itself. It's the individuals who are in charge. And that's the nuance I hope we can agree to at some point in this conversation.
No, I don't agree with you at all, honestly. I mean, are you implying that the socialism has worked in Cuba? Because there's lots of people.
Yes, I am implying that. So let me tell you where.
Socialism works in Cuba.
Brother, I'm going to answer your question, brother. I stand on mine. Socialism. Socialism is what you're living in right now. So you don't even realize that you.
We have several socialist policies, but this is a capitalist nation. This is not. We are not living under socialism.
I'm going to let you finish, and I'll respond.
But I'm not gonna let you sit here. I'm not gonna let you sit here and say that.
Hold on, wait a minute, hold on, brother. You don't get to tell me what you would let me do or not do, brother. First of all, all right. If you don't want to be on the show and get these facts, that's on you. But you will sit here and listen to them, or you won't be on the program.
Working in Cuba, people are literally dying as we speak.
Yeah, I know that because of, as I just said. Hold on, brother. Give me a second to respond to you, sir. If you're okay with the straightening. Because of mismanagement of resources, corruption in government. You scared of these facts. Mismanagement of resources, corruption in government. Yeah, people are dying in America. The hell are you saying about that? You're not saying a damn thing about that, right?
They're being killed directly by their government, my friend.
Okay, they are being killed by the government. Sir, listen to yourself. When a cop kills an unarmed black man, is that not the government?
Oh, please. So we're gonna sit here and say that when the government goes out and kills someone unarmed. I'm not saying that this is something that's correct. But
you just said that doesn't happen in America.
No. But what I'm saying is that there's not people going door to door, rounding people up, pulling them out of their house.
Sir, those are evil and corrupt people, brother. My point to you is simple. Those are evil and corrupt people who disregard the humanity of others. I don't have any love. Listen, brother, I don't have any love for, I don't care what government you have, socialism, communism, capitalism. I have zero love for corrupt individuals in any position of authority. Now, are you able to say on this show, the people that are doing that in Cuba, they corrupt as hell, okay? They are corrupt as hell. Are the people doing it in America corrupt?
Absolutely.
All right, good, we can agree on that point.
Is the United States pushing policies that actively go after people? People that speak against the government. People that speak against the government. Where are they going? Name one person the government has gone after that speaks against the government. And
brother, I'm gonna give it. You asked me a question, brother. Give me time to respond.
Go for it.
There's a young lady, 19 years old, a college student. She went to Utah. You need to research this story.
What's her name?
I don't remember her name. Producers will tell me in my ear in a minute. I did this story a few days ago, and I'll make sure you have the full context. And I posted it on YouTube. This young lady went to Utah, 19 years of age, college student. There was a back the blue sign, paper sign. She crumbled it up and she put it in the trash can. A deputy sheriff saw this action and arrested her for intimidating him because of this action. On the police report, he didn't cite that she did something else. He cited that she crumbled up the piece of paper in an aggressive fashion, gave him an intimidating look.
Lots of times, yes. I've seen this happen lots of times.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Officer.
Okay, let me finish. Crumbled it up, and her name is Laura Garson, right? Gibson, excuse me. Laura Gibson.
Yeah.
Laura Gibson. Crumbled it up, gets taken to jail. The prosecutor gets involved and decides to enhance the charge and make it a hate crime, brother. This 19-year-old kid, let me finish. 19-year-old kid has been charged with a hate crime for something that's not even illegal in most states in the United States, and it's also not illegal in a lot of the communist countries that you talk about.
So you literally just said that she tried to aggressively intimidate this officer. You're telling me that's
what? Wait a minute. So
you just said that she aggressively. If you're aggressively doing this,
that's a crime. Wait a minute, brother. Think about what you're saying. This right here, and me throwing it away. I don't care what the paper says. That's a crime to you?
If you're aggressively coming out, you're trying to make
no. He said she aggressively crumpled up the paper. It's in the police report. That's a crime to you?
No, you're talking. If you're trying to do this to intimidate an officer, yes, then you're trying to threaten this.
What you mean trying to do? You cannot. Listen, brother. How can you? Listen, man. I can't believe you're running for Congress, brother. Listen to me.
I can't believe that you think socialism actually works in Cuba.
Socialism. So I'm going to explain that, but you keep going around on the points. I'm going to explain where socialism works. You finished?
Go for it.
I'm going to explain to you where socialism works and where it does not work, number one. But right now, I'm explaining to you a point that you made that's incorrect. You said nobody in the government is rounding up individuals in America and putting them in jails. That is untrue. A young 19-year-old kid.
Against the government, they're doing this en masse? Show me where. Show me where they're putting bullets in people's heads and throwing them in unmarked graves. Show me where they're doing.
Sir, those are corrupt people, sir.
I know, but I'm saying.
I'm bringing your attention. I have no love for them. I'm bringing your attention. Listen, man, we're gonna have to be sensible. I'm showing you something now if you would open your ears and listen.
About rolling up paper and trying to compare that to people actually losing their lives.
Sir, the people in Cuba who are under this corrupt regime are good, decent people. They should not suffer as they are suffering. But I don't use the people of Cuba as a political point, brother.
I'm not using them as a
I'm telling you, you won't even let the sentence finish about the story of Miss Gibson, because you don't give a damn about what's happening in this country. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and listen to this. Do you think that crumpling up a sheet of paper that says "back the blue" and throwing it away should be a crime in America to go to jail for a hate crime? Do you believe that?
I'll ask you that same. I'll answer that question with the same. I'll answer that question with another question.
No, sir. Answer my question first, sir, and I will answer yours.
People go.
Be respectful of the format. Answer my question, brother, and I will answer whatever question you have.
That's what I'm doing. When people go and do this, when they're against Black Lives Matter, or even gay pride, which I think it's ridiculous when people go out and do this. But when people crumple up Black Lives Matter signs, tear them down, throw paint, and try and disrespect other people's freedom of speech and try and intimidate people, and I've seen this happen lots of times. All right, would you consider that a hate crime if it was done to a gay person or to a black person? Because we do see it all the time.
Now, let me do this. I'm going to answer that question, but obviously I'm going to have to teach you how to respect the format of the show. I posed a question to you first in all due respect. You have failed to answer my question, but you've posed one to me. I run away from no question. So brother, my question is the same to you as it was a minute ago. Crumpling up a sheet of paper or a sign that says "back the blue" and throwing it away, should that be a crime, an offense in the United States of America against police?
A hate crime, yes, I would consider that a hate crime.
You would consider that a hate crime?
The same way that I would consider someone doing that to a homosexual or someone doing that to someone.
But that's not the context of this story. The police.
It's the same thing, bro. I consider it a hate crime. Yes, it's literally the same concept, bro.
No, it's not the same concept, and I will explain to you where it's not the same concept.
I want to demonize cops.
Sir, I will explain to you where it's not the same concept. You just wrong. Okay. All right, you just gonna keep talking. Let me.
If somebody does that to a Black Lives Matter sign aggressively towards black people, would you consider that a hate crime?
Let me explain to you the difference.
Would you consider a hate crime?
Brother, you have still continued to bloviate. I'm going to answer the question. Listen, man, brother, you've just posed the same question 3 times. Damn it, let me answer the question.
Go for it.
Thank you, I appreciate that so much.
Yes or no?
Anytime you have what's called an immutable quality. Immutable qualities are what makes a hate crime a hate crime. Do you understand that terminology when I say that?
Immutable meaning like it can't be changed, yes.
Correct, it cannot be changed. So the things that cannot be changed, first of all, like this blackness, we're black men. This will not change about us. It is considered to be an immutable quality. The fact that you have individuals who would target and do criminal activity to intimidate a particular race, that's considered a crime if you destroy property, if you destroy their property. So for example, the Black Lives Matter sign that was burned at the church, Asbury Church in DC. Remember that situation? The Proud Boys led that rally. They tore down the sign, they burned the sign. They weren't charged with a hate crime. There's no hate crime. They weren't charged with a hate crime. Now, that was criminal trespass, destruction of property because you could prove ownership, and the whole 9. So you literally had multiple crimes of trespass and property destruction that you can actually prove. In the case that I'm bringing to your attention, Ms. Gibson did not destroy the property of the police. Ms. Gibson, but you could not, brother, it was a sign on the street that could not prove ownership.
But it's someone's
So you're okay with the police locking you up for crumpling up paper? Just go ahead and say it, brother. That's what you're okay with.
If you're out there trying to intimidate, police officers,
man, how the hell is that? First of all, you have a constitutional right to be a jerk. You can argue with a cop, you can curse a cop out, you can tell a cop to go to hell legally. You know that? Did you know that, brother? You have rights in this country. You have constitutional rights in this country. You have a right to be a jerk to a cop without penalty or prosecution. It's called the freedom of speech. You should try it.
No, you don't. You don't have the right.
You do have the right to be a jerk to a cop. What statute says you don't?
You have the right. It's common decency. If you're out here trying to, so if I came at you,
no, that is not a right, sir. That's some stuff you're making up. You have a right to freedom of speech in this country. Anytime the government, you need to go back and read. You need to go back and read the Constitution, brother. Anytime.
But if you're going, you have the right to freedom of speech. But if you're going out and you're destroying people's property, like you said,
no, sir. This was not a destroy. Charge them with destruction of property. Charge them with destruction of property.
Say again.
Charge them with destruction of property.
I would agree with you on that, brother.
But that's not what they charged her with.
Well, you're telling me that you came at her aggressively.
No, sir.
That's what you started with.
The police report says she crumpled the paper aggressively. Brother, if you can't understand a simple sentence, good luck running for Congress.
I understand the sentence.
But I said it 3 times to you.
You're clearly anti-cop. You're clearly anti-police, and that's why you're
anti-bad cop.
Say again?
I'm anti-bad cop.
Well, it sounds like you're pretty anti-cop to me, brother.
Nope, I'm pro-good cop, anti-bad cop.
I'm pro-good cop as well too, and I believe.
Are you anti-bad cop?
I'm 100% anti-bad cop. In fact,
okay, good. At least we can agree on that. Now,
I actually have legislation in place to deal with these kinds of.
What legislation do you have in place?
Well, I'm looking to put forward what's called the Justice and Reporting Office.
But so you don't have legislation in place?
Huh?
You don't have legislation in place?
Correction, I phrased it correctly. I have legislation I want to propose. It's called the Justice and Accountability Reporting Officers Bill. It's on my website, billyprempeh.com.
Good, so you support the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act then?
Say again?
You support the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act?
No, I have a far better idea. You can find that on my website.
Okay, what don't you like about the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act?
I believe that the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act does a lot more to demonize police officers.
But what don't you like about the policy?
Say again?
What don't you like about the policy?
I don't like both. I don't like the entire bill.
Well, what part of it? You got a lot to choose from. What don't you like about it?
What I'm proposing is a chain of accountability and community cohesion with the people in the community. Not only this, and also I'm also looking to
brother, listen. You don't get to steamroll beyond the question. What do you said you don't like the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act That's actually legislation in place, unlike what you said. You don't have a damn thing in place.
But removing qualified immunity is not a good idea, in my opinion. That harms officers. That makes it much harder for anybody to even want to be a police officer. I live in an inner city where this.
All right, so at least you have one issue with the policy. But if you're talking about creating a new policy that would allow for cohesion between community and cops and allow for a reporting accountability matrix, that's inside of the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act as well.
I'm gonna do it. BillyPrempeh.com. You can read more about it.
Okay. So in your proposed legislation, you do agree that police officers should be held to an accountability standard, correct? To a reporting standard.
Not just be held to a high accountability standard, but I also believe that a new elected class needs to be created where community leaders that are elected by the people work hand in hand with the police officers.
All right. Let me read this to you because my producers are telling me I'm flat out of time. Socialism in America, K through 12 public education, Social Security, Medicare, single payer government run healthcare from Medicare, 65 and over, minimum wage, the child labor laws. All of these are socialist elements. All of them are in the United States of America. My ultimate point to you is this. Don't get caught up in calling everything evil because you would then have to call the other side always good. And the truth is,
now you're painting me with a brush. You don't even know me.
Well, brother, you hold on, wait a minute. Did you not say? I didn't paint you with a brush. I read your statement. Your statement said, and I quote, "We will never allow America to be overrun by the evils of communism and socialism." Did you not say that?
I did, and I'm talking about communist government as a whole. Even the thing, the $15 minimum wage, that's one of the things I don't agree with. There's a lot of things that you just mentioned. I don't.
We need to bring you back, brother. But man, do yourself a favor, brother. All right, research the policies that you're talking about.
I think you need to do. I think you and your viewers need to do yourself a favor and research what I'm looking to propose when I get to Congress as well.
You're not going to Congress, sir. You're not going to Congress.
Okay, that's fine if you believe that, brother. I'll see you on the other side.
You're not going to Congress. I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you, sir.
That's fine if you believe that, brother. Stop supporting communism. Stop telling people that the Cubans are doing great under socialism because they're not.
No, they're not. The Cuban people are suffering, and they shouldn't be. And those corrupt leaders need to not be in power.
Cuba, you said it was working in Cuba.
No, I did not, sir. Socialism is not an evil in itself. What's my point?
Yes, it is. Thanks for cutting me off.
All right, have a good day, sir.
You too, brother.
It's been fun.
God bless you.
God bless you. Do you believe in white Jesus or black Jesus?
Why does that matter? I believe in Jesus.
All right, I thought so. Yeah. All right, have a good day, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. I got to end the show, man. Thank you, brother.
Stop making everything.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Stop manipulating people.
You mad because I asked you about white Jesus or black Jesus? Come on, man. It does matter.
The problem with you.
All right, brother. Listen. Literally, I'm at the end of the show, so I got to go. All right. Sorry, man. Listen, man, you're acting like an ex-girlfriend, brother. I got to go.
Hang up.
All right. Have a good day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of this planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.